Human Music Podcast.
But okay, so when you listen to 100 Gex though, like tell me a part of you can't envision like some like distant like Aldous Huxley type future or some shit where like all the music on the radio is high-pitched, auto-tuned, vocally, bubblegum, hip-hop, trap.
I cannot.
I don't think so. I picked
I absolutely
that's like
cannot.
futuristic.
I mean,
Absolutely fucking not.
I just want y'all to just like put your mind in 2006 again, when everybody's voice was a human voice.
Yeah.
And nobody on the radio had a robot voice.
No,
And
dude.
2007 comes along. Hold up. 2007 comes along, and some weirdo named T-Pain has a robot voice, and everybody's like, ain't this weird? What a weird little gimmick this one person is doing. I guess I'll listen. I'm gonna buy you a drink. Okay, cool. Snappy fingers, whatever. Cool, I dig it. But now it's 13 years later, and what song doesn't have some auto-tune in it? How many singers don't like step into that realm? It's like a whole meme now. It's like a whole thing. And it's like, man, like all it takes is for one person to get really successful doing it. And some people are going to be, no, it's stupid. It's bullshit. We need real singers. And it's like, I mean, what T-Pain can really sing.
Yeah.
But T-Pain can also sing the absolute shit out of some auto-tune.
Yeah.
And stand out from the crowd and start a movement.
Yeah, I think that the difference is that, like, that kind of thing is, like, format directly adjacent. It's the same song, but there's one gimmick about it that has, maybe not a gimmick, maybe a gimmick, I don't know. But the auto-tune is, like, one thing otherwise in that pop hip-hop. It's the same song, except this guy who can already sing, T-Pain can sing like a motherfucker, used this effect to separate himself from the crowd. Truly avant-garde shit, I think is too distant from mainstream appeal to ever really be the driving force. I think that truly avant-garde shit like that 100 Gex album is something that will be held as a cult classic, but will never truly be mainstream. It, like that kind of thing, its appeal is the differences from the mainstream. And if that became the mainstream, it would no longer be cool. I just don't think... I see it as like too many. Like I said, T-Pain is literally one lane over, one thing different from the mainstream that made him different enough to be cool. 100 Gex is like fucking 10 lanes over or more, and I just think there's too. I think there's too big of a gap.
It's still very pop. Everything arrangement-wise is pop. All very, very obvious trap influences. Besides, like, let's just not even account for the fuck you songs, the 2 or 3 on that project.
Yeah.
I just skipped through personally. Let's talk about, like, the songs. They're all in this pop sort of format. They all do the typical, like, verse, chorus, or verse, pre-chorus. And it's always this, like, vocal trade-off between the two. So that you find in 99% of music. The shit that really separates them is, well, okay, the weird metal or dubstep parts or heavy parts that they throw in. But let's take that off, right? Let's just talk about strictly from the pop side. They have the distorted sound occasionally in certain...
Occasionally.
Well,
all of their 808s are fucking plug 808s, dog.
Well, but even still, they sound different than... They sound like they're in like a short room reverb or some shit. But so they have the distortion, dirty sound, and they have the high-pitched voices. Those are like the main two things, but everything else seems very analogous to like pop or hip-hop.
I definitely see what you're saying. And looking at it from that point of view, I don't think it's 10 lanes over, but I do still think... it all has a very harsh quality to it that I love because it's different, but it's not a radio record.
Oh.
It's got weird high-pitched voices. It's got hilarious but kind of like out there lyrical content
Okay.
that is funny but doesn't make sense for a radio record. It's all very distorted. So, like in that Money Machine, like that vocal is so distorted and the 808's distorted. Everything about that just feels like it like they played that song off like a thin metal sheet and then recorded the result and then that was the final master.
Totally.
Like there's a sheen about everything that is just like, no, we're not going to follow your rules. And I just think that, like, yeah, I don't know. I just get the sense that it's just not. Like, I definitely think that there are going to be some mainstream media outlets that realize how different it is, and they're going to be like, look at this for attention because they know that it'll polarize the crowd. People will respond to that content. But I do think in the end, it is still too different from what people are used to ever garner.
Oh, for sure.
Like what you were saying is, can't you see a future in which this is the style of music that is predominant?
But like an offshoot of this style.
An offshoot of this style.
I totally see
Maybe.
like the bubblegum, futury, high-pitched voices leaking more into pop and hip-hop.
No, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I thought you meant.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I thought you meant like straight up like this style.
No.
Of like scatterbrained ideas in pure execution without any thought of what are people going to think of this.
No.
Would become a mainstream philosophy.
A non-side version of this.
But yeah, like, I mean, we talked about Skrillex a little while ago, and like Skrillex, like you said, Tesko, that he was like, you know, he wasn't the first guy to do dubstep by any means, but he was the first one that like really brought it in a new package to way more people. And like everybody was like, wait, what the fuck is this? It had that polarizing effect. And now like that type of formula is the biggest thing in festival music. Mm-hmm. You know, offshoots of what that has become in the past like 13 years. And then, you know, we go back to like hip hop. Hip hop comes out and music has always been mostly chords and melodies. And oh yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a drummer in the back just so like the people playing the chords and melodies know when, but we don't need to turn that up or anything. Right. And like maybe there's like a bridge where like the person does a little bit of talking and then it gets back to the melodic part. But then hip hop comes out and it's like, fuck everything you ever heard, drums and talking, and we're angry. We're angry about it. We're not even happy that we're here doing it. And people are like, this is a gimmick. This is a fad. This is bullshit. This is, fast forward 40 years later, the number one genre in the entire world that has permeated every single other genre, also and up into and including country now. It's in every country in the world, and it's just a new part of what it is. And yeah, like it doesn't sound like 1982 hip hop, but it's hip hop. And now everything's kind of hip hop.
Yeah.
I mean, you make a really, really good point. I really think that it is possible for anything that is that different to catch on. But I just think that this is too different, man. I'm not gonna...
It's already a thing, bro. Look into PC music. It's like weird, distorted, high-pitched pop music.
Yeah, like 8-bit, like fucking...
Not 8-bit, like pop music, but just like more minimal, weirder sounds, and like this emphasis on like female aesthetic /
Really?
sound. Yeah.
Well, if it becomes the mainstream, I will be the first to admit that I'm wrong, because I would fucking love a day and age where people would be open enough to new music and shit that they don't understand to embrace something like that and bring it to the mainstream. Just like the music critic in me, like 10 out of 10 on this album. Like, fucking bravo for doing something that is that different. I wish everyone could have that appreciation.
Right.
My wife's still fucking, turn it off, that you're gonna make my ears bleed. You know? Like,
everything we talked about was over like 15 to 30 year time spans. You know, it's like dubstep like started happening, whatever, say, let's throw it out there, like 15 plus years ago. And then it got like a big boost like 10 years ago-ish when Skrillex came out, and then other people like him started putting spins on it. And then now it's still not mainstream. You still can't like go just listen to the dubstep station on radio. But like there's like that one EDM station that'll have the dubstep hour, you know, but it's the biggest festival thing. And it's like, it's still not to the point where you can just like turn on the pop station and hear dubstep. But like, you know, in the 90s, you know, yeah, okay, you had the one rap station per city, finally, after 20 years of rap. And now it's pick a station, cut through, you're gonna hear something that is hip hop or came from it. And so it's like, yeah, today, tomorrow, this isn't, you know, like 100 gex fucking radio on the hour, every hour. But
dude, I really hope in 5 years, when we've hit that kind of like 20-year mark, that there's one radio station in every market that just plays dubstep. Oh my God, that would be so sick.
And it can be dubstep and trap and hybrid trap too. But come on.
Yeah.
Give me more radio options, damn it.
Let's go.
For real.
That would be sick, dude.
But, you know, then again, with radio, it's tough because, like, radio is an aging technology, and compete with the ease of just doing shit on the internet as an artist. And it's like, it's way easier to get whatever. Some of these 100 gex songs had 5 million streams already. And it's like, why bother trying to pay all the money to get yourself on the radio when 5 million times somebody's listening to your song on Spotify, and that's probably replicated across all the other social or streaming platforms. And all right, cool, you got well more than 1,000 true fans in that model and can sustain and tour and everything. So yeah, what's the point of fighting for the radio station when it's like, nah, it's cool, we're on 100 YouTube playlists and 100 Spotify playlists.
So is public places play it. So you never know if like a fucking Abercrombie or some shit is gonna like play your stuff out to like 200 people randomly. And like not just that one Abercrombie, but like in that 2-3 minute span in which your song is playing, what percentage of the whole fucking country is going to either A, be on this channel already, or B, flip onto this channel and be like, whoa, wait, what was that? Let me catch a lyric and like Google this real quick, see what this is. So who knows where it's playing with radio, but I do agree with you.
Skrillex isn't concerned about being on the radio. He is doing just fine.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he would not be mad if he was on it.
He's won a Grammy, I think, so he has to have been on it.
And you know, there are the EDM stations.
All two of them.
Yeah.
Shouts out to C89 in Seattle.
Yo, dude, those guys have been so forward thinking forever, but it's because they're a college station or a high school station, actually.
High school station. Shouts out to Nathan Hale High School for hosting C89.
Dude, I remember when I first got one of my mixes, like the label that I released that EP, the same EP that that song Dylan heard that he wanted me to become a sensei. when I released that EP, the label that I released it with was a Seattle-based label, and they hit up CD 9.5, and they're like, "Yo, check out all this new music. Like, you should have this guy do a mix." And then they hit me up, and they're like, "Yo, we want to have you do a mix for our radio station." And I was like, "Yo, like, I have officially made it. I have listened to this fucking station since I was like 6 years old, and potentially is one of the reasons that I even like electronic music at all, because I was driving to school with my dad until I go to like kindergarten or first grade. Dude, I remember this shit very well. And he was scanning through stations, and luckily my dad was not enough of a chump that when he heard Tiesto In Search of Sunrise In Search of Sunrise mix, that he like was like, "What is this?" and like let it play for a second, and I was like, what? Dude, this is so good. And then like from that moment, like all I knew it as was techno, but like in the back of my mind that was bubbling for a long time.
Look at you now, seasoned techno producer, you.
Yeah,
I'm technos.
I make some pretty hard-hitting techno, you know.
Technos, and every once in a while, the tech yeses.
The tech yeses, which is so funny because like it was basically what we would call happy hardcore today, except everything electronic was just labeled techno.
Mm-hmm. Or electronica, remember that?
Yeah, I associated that more with like indie electronic though. Like
I didn't know the difference.
I like it.